So as guitarists, we love our patterns, right? And sometimes when we're taught a pattern, we figure that's the only way to play the pattern, and that's not necessarily true. So I wanted to make this quick little micro lesson to encourage you to look at your guitar patterns after you get familiar with them in a more efficient way. Let's take an example. Let's take a 3-note per string scale, a major scale, and you might be familiar with this pattern. What's really nice about this pattern is that there's kind of on each 2 sets of strings its own little mini pattern. Like we have the whole step on those 2 strings, and then we have the half step, whole step on the next set of strings, and then we have the whole step, half step on the next set of strings. And it's really nice for our hands to play that. Except in one part. If you notice here, I'm jumping up with my first finger. So let's take this idea of how can we play this pattern a little bit more efficiently. So let's look at this. Let's do our first pattern. Did you notice what I did there? I used my first finger when I got to this shape to slide up with my first finger, and that really sets me up well for the next set of strings. So it looks like this again. And it works equally as well going down. By doing this little shift, now my pinky lands naturally in the next part of the pattern. So I just want to encourage you to look at your scales this way. Think about when your hand makes a drastic change. Right there. And think if there's an easier way to get into there. In this case, there was with that first finger slide. Now, this also applies to chords and chord progressions. Let's take a nice simple chord progression, maybe a C to a G to an A minor to an F. A very common chord progression. Well, how can I play this a little bit more efficiently? Well, let's look at the jump that happens the most. It happens between the C chord and the G chord. I'm actually switching everything. And that's a big jump to make. Well, what if we did this? So what am I doing there? Well, all I'm doing is I'm trying to figure out a quicker way to get to that G chord. So here's the C. If I take these 2 fingers and move them up 1 set of strings, I'm playing that G shape. And I'm lifting up my first finger, and I'm putting my pinky down on the high G to get that full chord. So instead of this, I'm doing this. It's just an easier, efficient way to get there. Instead of and doing this and thinking this way will help you with your timing and also help you practice switching between chords sometimes because it's easier to do it that way. So let's look at another example. Maybe you're playing a basic rhythm guitar part. The chords are A, D, E, and A. And maybe you're playing something like this. So let's look, where does our hand do the most movement? It's between the D and the E chord in this example, and then back down from the E chord to the A. That's a big jump, a big move. So let's think, how can we maybe play this a little differently? Well, we can try this. A, D, here's another E chord here. Back to the A. We'll try it again. Or, let's think about it from this perspective. The other jump was from the E back to the A. So let's think How can we do that differently? Well, let's do the A, D, E, A. So maybe that's a different way to play the same guitar part, but playing it a little bit more efficiently in a rhythm guitar context. So again, the whole purpose of this micro lesson was for you to start exploring different patterns that you play, different chords that you play in a chord progression, and see if there's ways for you to play something a little bit more efficiently, getting in and out of those things. So anytime that your hand is making a big jump, either in a scale or in a chord progression, ask yourself, is that the most efficient way for me to play those?